Welcome to Extra Throttle House. I'm Thomas, and where's James? Actually, I'll tell you where James is. James is in the UK visiting his family and hanging out with Roy Reed. Meanwhile, I'm here doing the Lord's work in Canada, reviewing crossovers for you guys. You hear that? And this is the Toyota Corolla Cross. And you might be wondering, why would you not get a RAV4, Thomas? And if I'm honest, I'm wondering that as well. But let's just dig into this thing a little bit, all right? This is a Corolla that's been made a crossover. If the Corolla is here and the RAV4 is here, it's right in the middle, right? It kind of slots right in, which is what all the manufacturers are doing nowadays. They're pouring sand in between the marbles of their lineup to fill in the gaps. I don't really know why, but here we are. This has, I'm gonna see if I can get this right. This has a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine with 169 horsepower and 150 pound-feet of torque. James would be really proud of me for actually memorizing those numbers. And the thing is the RAV4 has a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine with 200 horsepower and 180-something pound-feet of torque. Okay, so you get more power. I haven't driven this a lot yet. I'm gonna take it for a quick drive in a second, but let's just kind of look at it, because it does look like, well, it looks nothing like a Corolla. And that's the question. It's on the same platform, so it's on the same underpinnings and all that, but it's all-wheel drive. You can get a front-wheel drive version of this, but then you get torsion beam rear suspension. And really, if you are gonna go to a crossover, the reason you do it is you get a little bit more space for packaging so you can get all-wheel drive, because, you know, here we are. Look, I'm literally standing on ice right now. This has one of those kind of front-wheel drive bias systems that the rear only kicks in when it's actually starting to slip in the front. Anyway, this is in a red, something like Barcelona red or something like that. I think it's a fine-looking little vehicle. I got no problems visually with it, right? It's kind of got some cool headlights and stuff. I should probably drive it. Oh, I'm gonna look in the trunk. Yeah, it's pretty good. Okay, let's go for a drive. Okay, foot down. Go, yes. Nah, it's not quick at all. Nope, it's really slow actually, and it's got a CVT, so it sounds like boop. But, you know what? It's a Toyota. It's reliable. And it's actually funny because you look at those numbers that I said earlier, 169 horsepower, 150 pound-feet of torque. Usually when we see a naturally aspirated car nowadays with a horsepower number that's higher than its torque number, it's usually because, you know, we're like, oh, you get to run it to the red line to find the power, and, you know, it's a sporty engine, it's not turbocharged, it's the old-fashioned way. That's not the case with this. I have a feeling that what happened was they built an engine out of parts that they know and have tested are going to be reliable and are going to work to meet regulations, and then it just ended up like this. Like, oh, I guess that's the horsepower number. Oh, that's 150 pound-feet of torque. That's a little more than I thought it was going to be. This is probably how the conversation went at Toyota. I imagine it. And, you know, they didn't tune the sound. They didn't try and make the power plant refined. They just made sure that it was gonna last. And that's why you buy a Toyota. Here's the thing though. A RAV4 has, as I said, the bigger engine. It's torquier, it's punchier. It's not that much worse on fuel, or roughly the same. And it's, as far as I understand it, in Canada anyway, if you can forego, I believe, the sunroof and maybe the heated steering wheel and two other things that you get in the premium package with this, you can get a middle trim RAV4, I think the LE package, with cloth seats and everything, for about the same price as this. And I think that's what I would still do. However, if for some reason you're still bent on getting the Corolla Cross, I mean, this does some things that are nice. It has a heated steering wheel, as I said. The ride is really, really good. And you know what it has been? It's been a reprieve for our man Karston. You know Karston. Karston drives the drag race cars next to James and I, has incredible focus, and he edits dope videos. And he's been living with us because Toyota loaned it to us for like a month or something. He normally drives an FRS in the wintertime, and now he's been living with this. And he says, you know what? It's been nice to have, right? Doesn't do anything amazingly well, but it's a nice break from living with a sports car. The all-wheel drive gets the job done. It's got space. Oh, we did discover, though, that the windows wouldn't go down when it was too cold. All right, so minor issue with the Corolla Cross. Show me again, Karston.
It's pretty cold.
And it's not like snowy or icy. None of the windows will go down. That's a problem. Yeah, okay, good to know. But you know what? It's an economy car. It costs like 30 grand or whatever. Which is cheap nowadays, by the way. I'm sorry for everyone for that. It's the truth, it's cheap. So it's not gonna have everything done perfectly. It's gonna just have the essentials. And this does have the essentials. It's got lots of space in the back to carry people around. It's got lots of headroom up here. It's easy to drive. There's nothing offensive about the way that it goes around corners or whatever. It leans a little bit, the steering is kind of numb, but who cares? Typically the person who buys this car is not obsessed with road texture feedback. All of this is easy to use. This isn't that nice. The gauge cluster isn't that nice. It's right out of the Corolla, but it has kind of everything that you need. Climate control is pretty easy to figure out, and big switches for your heated seats. Okay, so you can use them with gloves. Other than that, traction control off, it's got the park hold. But chuck this thing into some corners. Front end leans, a little bit of understeer. It's set up to be safe. That's all this is. It's set up to be safe and livable. Goes where you point it. There's no weird calibration issues that I've discovered so far. Jeez. I did hear that there are some subscription things. I believe where I read it, that the key fob has an auto start, so you can start it in the morning, but it's a subscription service. And that is something that is not cool. That should be standard and stay standard. It shouldn't be a thing that goes away if you don't pay a monthly fee. But yeah, it is a nice little car to drive. If you need all-wheel drive and you need something that's a little bit smaller than your typical mid-size crossover, I believe this is a subcompact crossover. That might not even be right. I don't know. They're just making up words at this point to explain where these things fit. This is a good one, right? I'd own this. I mean, I wouldn't own it. I would buy it for someone else to drive it, but I would trust it. I would know that I would buy this, put it in my driveway, and I'm just not gonna have to worry about it. This is a Toyota, and that's why you buy a Toyota.